The numbers don't lie. 92% of UFO sightings happen in the United States. But what lies between these astonishing statistics? Is it just a coincidence, or there's a deeper link? Join us in this video as we delve into why 92% of UFO sightings happen in the United States. Why do aliens love the US? How did the Pentagon take UFOs seriously? And what are the major UFO encounters that happened throughout the history of America? According to a recent survey report, there have been approximately 126,094 UFO sightings reported in the USA since the inception of UFO record-keeping. The documentation started a long time ago, but if we travel a few years back, there'd only been word of mouth about UFO sightings. The only proof of these vehicles you'd get was some old interviews or conspiracy theories. But now the Pentagon is taking measures in this regard. Just last year, it launched the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, whose main agenda is to investigate objects that are a potential threat to our planet. The Pentagon is also collaborating with NASA and the US military to run UAP missions, which are basically science and military missions to spot, analyze, and identify the unidentified anomalous phenomena. UAPs include every uncharacterized object that is spotted in the air. But when did the Pentagon start to take UFOs seriously? Well, it all started in 2001 when Stephen McGreer, an American ufologist and retired physician, founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Disclosure Project. Before starting this project, Greer held the belief that the government had concealed its knowledge of alien visitations from the American people for an extended period. According to Greer, for many years, numerous unidentified flying objects, UFOs, have been seen in Earth's skies. These UFOs can reach incredibly high speeds without any apparent engines and can perform incredible maneuvers that would be fatal for human pilots. Some of these alien spacecraft have been recovered and studied since at least the 1940s, possibly even earlier in the 1930s. Scientists are making continuous attempts to understand and replicate their advanced technology. These activities were often kept highly classified, with a level of secrecy known as cosmic top secret. Before we dive into what started to happen in the 1940s and why America is a hotspot for aliens, let's first take a look at what happened in the recent Pentagon hearing about UFO encounters. A statement from former military personnel gives clarity to whatever Greer believed and wanted the authorities to admit. The Pentagon report. In June, ODNI released a follow-up of the Pentagon hearing. The report covered some 510 cataloged UAP reports gathered from agencies involved in the mission and the branches of the United States military. The document noted that the majority of these were gathered from the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force personnel. Out of 510 total UAP reports, ODNI assessed 366 that had been newly identified since AARO's creation, leaving 171 reported UAP sightings that remain uncharacterized and unattributed. A former intelligence officer, David Grush, came forward with a whistleblower report. During an interview, he said this:
"These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed."
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
Grush has officially alleged U.S. government for keeping this news a secret from the American people. But the people aren't that naive. They have witnessed numerous UFO encounters throughout history that make them question why all the UFO sightings happen in the U.S. Starting from the World War II Foo Fighter incident. World War II was a global conflict that occurred from 1939 to 1945. It was the time when some of the biggest powers of the world fought against each other. The United States, Germany, and Russia played a crucial role in the outcome of the war. Unaffected by the war situation on the planet, there were some creatures that started to pave their way towards Earth. On November 11, 1944, one of the U.S. Armed Forces night fighters, Edward Schlueter, and his crew observed several glowing spheres flying along their aircraft. The objects were following them at a relatively high speed. When the night fighters turned towards the lights, they disappeared. Later, they appeared farther away. The display continued for several minutes and then disappeared. The airborne radar and ground control did not detect any such kind of object. Pilots gave these objects a name using the cartoon comic series Smokey Stover by the character Foo Fighters. A UFO historian, Richard Dolan, explains the phenomenon as
one of the early interesting Foo Fighter reports comes from the 415th Night Fighter Squadron. They're flying missions over northeastern France. That's not far from Germany, and this is still in Nazi-occupied part of France.
From this incident onwards, there were frequent reports of unidentified flying objects known as Foo Fighters. Then 3 years later, another mysterious event happened: the Roswell incident. In June 1947, a rancher and his son were driving across their ranch land somewhere 80 miles northwest of Roswell when they encountered something like a supersonic, unbelievable crash that formed debris they had never seen before. It was a metallic-looking, lightweight fabric scattered and shredded across the gravel and New Mexico desert. The rancher and his son collected pieces of wood, metal, and foil. On June 6th, they drove to report the incident to the Army office. The Roswell UFO incident is one of the most famous and controversial UFO cases in history. It occurred in the area of Roswell, New Mexico, United States in June 1947. Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer at the Roswell airfield, was tasked with investigating the crash. But something happened with the investigation of this event that even after 3 decades, the results were not published. After more than 30 years since his death on June 24, 1986, his grandchildren, Jesse Marcel III and John Marcel, claim he was ordered to deny what was actually discovered at the crash site. He had examined the debris in the field and determined it was not made by human hands. His granddaughter explained it as,
I see my grandfather holding up something that he knew that wasn't what he found.
This was just the first nail in the UFO encounters wall, because after this event, Roswell skies hosted frequent UFO visits. In 1989, a young local mortician, Glenn Dennis, claimed that his friend, who worked as a nurse at the Roswell Army Airfield, entered one of the examination rooms to discover that the doctors were bent over and examining the bodies of 3 creatures. As per the description of the nurse, the creatures had big bald heads, small bodies, and long arms. Glenn Dennis explained it as,
and she explained they were like 3.5 feet to 4 feet tall. The 2 of the bodies were you couldn't identify much.
Then, on September 4th, 2004, while tracking deer in the desert just 11 miles away from the famous Roswell crash site, a person named Robert Ridge came across an object that was completely uniform, in color and circular in shape, embedded in the sand, as he described.
I thought it was really cool when I first picked it up, then got it to the truck, brushed it off, and then I was like, in awe.
He said that the symbol on that object was conveying a secret message by having a pattern of the sun and moon on the rocks. These frequent Roswell incidents are one of the most famous and controversial UFO cases in history. Surviving a mid-air UFO collision, on May 3, 1975, a 23-year-old pilot, Carlos de Santos, was coming back to Mexico City from a routine flight. The plane was above VHF omnidirectional radio range when Carlos observed an odd object on the left side of his plane that was actually a gray-colored saucer-shaped object with a cockpit on top and was very small in size. Before he could even process what was happening, suddenly he observed another one approaching from the right side of the plane and another one approaching directly from the front side, descending beneath the front of the plane, hitting and scraping the fuselage, and damaging the landing gear of the plane. Surprisingly, Carlos felt that they were guiding him, taking control of his plane, and now forcing the plane to ascend to dangerous altitudes. When Carlos felt the situation was wild, he sent a distress call, Mayday, connecting with the control tower in Mexico City, as recorded by the tower. An airport in that area offered him an emergency landing, clearing the area of all flights. Forced to circle the airport almost a dozen times, Carlos desperately searched for something to fix the landing gear. He was able to find a screwdriver, and in a makeshift process, he was successful in extending the gear and safely landing the plane. According to UFO researcher Miguel Romero, an affidavit was recorded by the radar operator at the control tower. This incident was also investigated under Project Blue Book, under the supervision of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, the government-hired astronomer who officially looked into UFO cases. This UFO encounter was the strangest one, but then we discovered the mysteries of Area 51. Mysteries of Area 51. Area 51 is a highly classified facility of the United States Air Force. It is located in the Nevada desert. This area is well known for its secretive nature. A controversial ufologist, Robert Scott Lazar, claimed that in the late 1980s, he was hired to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. That work supposedly occurred at a secret site called S4, a subsidiary installation allegedly located several kilometers south of the United States Air Force facility, popularly known as Area 51. Lazar claimed to have examined an alien craft and read U.S. government briefing documents that described alien involvement in human affairs over the past 10,000 years. His claims brought additional public attention to Area 51. He explained the building of that area.
What do you see? It's a very interesting building. It's got a slope of probably about 30 degrees, which are hangar doors. And it has textured paint on it, but it looks like sand. It's made to look like the side of the mountain that it's in, whether it's to disguise it from satellite photographs or what.
If we think deeply about whatever Lazar has been saying for several years, then we'd know that his stories just make sense. Tic Tac incident. The Tic Tac event refers to a specific UFO sighting that occurred in 2004 on the coast of South California. It was named Tic Tac because the UFO looked like a small white oblong or a Tic Tac candy. During a routine training mission with the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz at the Southern California coast in November 2004, Dietrich and her commanding officer and fellow pilot David Fravor were asked by another warship to investigate radar contacts in the area, moving in an inexplicable fashion. She said they first noticed a disturbance at the ocean surface before seeing that object. Fravor has described it as a smooth, white, oblong object, resembling a large tic-tac breath mint flying at high speed over the water. When they turned to engage with the object, it started to respond in an awkward way because it seemed to lack all visible flight control systems or any means of propulsion. Lightning reveals hidden UFO. Since the Roswell incident, Mexico has always been home to some strange aerial sightings. One of the most compelling pieces of UFO evidence to ever come from south of the border of Mexico. This shaky handheld footage doesn't just show mysterious balls of light floating in the sky. Thanks to a fortuitous lightning strike, the entire craft is illuminated for a brief moment, giving us a rare glimpse at the unidentified flying objects hovering in the sky. UFO at a U.S. military base. USS Gerald R. Ford is an aircraft carrier of the United States Navy. It is one of the largest and most advanced warships in the world. It consisted of various advanced technologies and an electromagnetic aircraft launch system. One of the most notable UFO sightings associated with the USS Gerald R. Ford occurred in 2018, reportedly in the Mediterranean. A 40-second video features a fighter jet, identified as an F-18 by a narrator, making a landing on the aircraft carrier, capturing the moment for posterity.
It looks like a pinpoint precise landing. But then,
as it goes to touchdown, we actually see a triangular-shaped UFO, like something that would be right out of an alien movie. And you're like, whoa!
As it went to touchdown, people actually saw a triangular-shaped UFO, like something that would be right out of an alien movie. Codebreaker. Another famous incident was when 97 computers of the US government got hacked, and proof came to the surface that aliens exist in the universe. and America has something related to them. A British hacker named Gary McKinnon hacked into NASA's computers, and there he found some pictures of extraterrestrial objects. He found proof of UFOs, aliens, and secret cosmic missions of the US military. During an interview, Gary stated, "I was able to briefly see one of these pictures. It was a silvery, cigar-shaped object with geodesic spheres on either side. There were no visible seams or riveting. There was no reference to the size of the object, and the picture was taken presumably by a satellite looking down on it." He further stated,
"So to me, I was thinking there must be an off-planet space force, or space fleet at least."
Collectively, Gary saw cigar-shaped alien craft among thousands of photos of aliens in the US combined missions. He found evidence of a secret space program, UFOs, and suppressed technology that could solve energy and environmental problems. He also claimed that he saw files with names such as non-terrestrial officers and fleet-to-fleet transfer. It's important to note that these claims have not been substantiated and have been largely dismissed by authorities and experts. The authorities accused him of breaking into dozens of US Army, Navy, Air Force, and Department of Defense computers, as well as 16 NASA computers, and even taking down a network of 2,000 machines. Gary McKinnon admitted that he broke into computers at NASA and the Pentagon, but he said that he did so to find out if the US government was covering up the existence of UFOs. The 56-year-old has fought a decade-long battle against extradition. He was sentenced to jail for 60 years, but due to UK's involvement, he was released as a free man. For years, Gary insisted that his motives were harmless and claimed he was only able to break into the machines because they relied on unsecured versions of Windows. But the US government's unsecured version of Windows gave us our answer to why 92% of UFO sightings happen in the United States. The number one reason could be what Gary found out, that the US military is conducting some secret military missions that involve aliens, and to complete their mission, alien aircraft are often seen in the American skies. America has highly developed military bases like Area 51 and S4 sector. These bases are fully occupied with vast systems of technology which may attract aliens toward it. So the American technological advancement might be the reason for UFOs visiting the United States. Americans might have a galactic federation with extraterrestrial life. The Galactic Federation is a secret federation between aliens and humans working on a common goal, and it is believed to be an American federation with aliens, so it might be the reason that aliens visit the United States frequently. In an interview with Israel's leading newspaper, former Chief Asht stated that aliens from all over the universe, which all belong to a galactic federation, are not just visiting Earth, but that they are already walking among us. The UFOs asked not to advertise that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet. They don't want us to have mass hysteria. They want to make us sane and understanding first. They waited until today for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we would understand what space and space travel are. He also claimed that the US government is not just aware of this, but that it has a secret agreement with the aliens, and there's a base on Mars with representatives from both the Galactic Federation and the US government. Asht claimed the American astronauts were coordinating with the aliens in an underground base on planet Mars. In an interview, he stated, "They have been waiting for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we will generally understand what space and spaceships are." So, this might be another reason that aliens like to visit the American land, as they share Mars with them. Lastly, aliens' growing number of visits to the US can also be understood as a response to American exceptionalism, the belief that America is inherently superior to other nations, and aliens would naturally be drawn to America due to their high population concentration. The USA is hardly the biggest country in the world, but its advancements in armed forces, astronomy, and nuclear science are far more impressive than any other nation. Also, the Americans take great pride in becoming number one, so attracting UFOs to their cities and military bases could be another reason why most of the UFO sightings happen in the United States.